Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, and welcome to Command Power, the show in which we discuss all things Magic the Gathering with a focus on Commander. And today we have another episode in our Spoiler Spotlight series in which I talk about, well, spoilers and tell you what my thoughts are on them. But before that, just a quick reminder to click subscribe if you enjoy my videos. We're well on our way to 1 million subscribers and your support means everything to me. And today we're going to be talking about Bartolomé del Presidio. For 1 white and 1 black, it's a legendary creature, Vampire Knight 2/1, which says sacrifice another creature or artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on Bartolomé del Presidio. Now it is weird to see complete regular real world Spanish on a Magic card in English, but I guess I'll get past that pretty quickly. I do think that this is actually a very interesting card despite just being an uncommon. And what I think is very cool about it is that whilst we've seen similar effects in the past, the payoff for this one is much better than some other effects of this type. So this basically has the Carrion Feeder payoff, which is a very good card, but it can't block, and it's a 1/1 for 1 mana that can go in every black deck. This is a little bit more narrow and limited in scope because it is black and white, so that limits the decks it can go in somewhat. Although that being said, most black and white decks want aristocrats cards anyway. In any case, Bartolomé is going to be quite strong because it is actually going to be getting a counter every time. That's a payoff that is better than most we usually see. Outside of the aforementioned Carrion Feeder, there aren't really that many that give you such a tangible benefit for sacrificing creatures. But the other thing that makes it stand out is that it's a legendary. Now that of course means it can be your commander, which can be very strong because having this kind of growing commander can be a way to finish games very quickly if you have a way to get it through for commander damage. But it also makes it an interesting choice for legendary decks. And there are a couple of decks that are both legendary and overlap with aristocrats. The one that comes to mind most of all is Ratadrapig of Urborg, which absolutely will love this card. This is a huge card for that deck. Being able to sacrifice at instant speed is very powerful in Ratadrapig, but unfortunately you just don't have that many slots to dedicate to that because almost all the cards in your deck want to be legendaries. This kind of solves that so nicely by being a legendary that also has a sacrifice ability on it, and it joins the ranks of Yeheni as being very, very powerful in that deck. It also makes Bartolomé incredibly resilient and difficult to kill in that particular deck because unless they use an exile removal on it, then it's just going to come back if Ratadrapig is in play. But not only that, Bartolomé has something over all of these other sacrifice outlets that we have yet to mention, and that is that it can sacrifice artifacts. Most of those other effects do not deal with artifacts at all. They're only going to be sacrificing creatures, so this gives us a whole new angle to look at with those decks, and it allows you to build around it in a few different ways. You can take advantage of treasures, for example, that are going to often be made in aristocrats decks as a byproduct of sacrificing all your creatures, and those treasures, when you don't have need for the mana, can then be used to fuel Bartolomé and make him a really real threat of activation, since if you swing in with him, they kinda have to block it, or else you could just sacrifice a bunch of treasures and make this absolutely massive. Just as in the last video where we talked about veto, and Bartolomé is very good in veto by the way, it is worth noting that not only treasures work with Bartolomé, you could actually put food, clue synergies, map synergies, all of those are going to work with the sacrifice artifact clause. So this actually pulls a lot of weight for a pretty innocuous looking uncommon, but at the end of the day, the most important aspect of it all is that it's another free sacrifice outlet in Orzhov decks. These kind of effects come around very rarely these days, particularly ones that aren't sorcery speed or limited to once per turn, so it's very strong that we've just got a bit more redundancy for any deck that wants that kind of effect. So there you have it. Those have been my thoughts on this new spoiler. What do you think about this card? Please let me know in the comment section below. I read all comments and respond to all of them too. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click like or subscribe. It really helps the channel. And until next time, take care.